Hello everyone. So I'm back with my Wednesday series of Wow. And as you all know, what is Wow? Wow is words of wisdom. Today we will be talking about Rowan Atkinson. As you all know, in this series we do not talk much about the person, but why he is known differently for. We all know Rowan Atkinson as our Mr. Bean, right? But here we are not going to see his comedy roles or his videos or his films. Here I will tell you something different about Rowan Atkinson, that is Mr. Bean. Rowan Sebastian Atkinson, his full name, was born on the 6th of January 1955. He is an English actor, comedian, and a writer. He is best known for his work on the sitcoms, that is Blackadder, that is the year when it was going on was 1983 to 1989, and Mr. Bean 1990 to 1995. Atkinson first came to prominence in the BBC sketch comedy show Not the 9 o'clock News. This was during the years 1979 to 1982, receiving the 1981 BAFTA, that is the Best Entertainment Performance Award, and via his participation in the Secret Policeman's Ball, that is in 1979. His other works include the James Bond film Never Say Never Again, playing a bumbling vicar in Four Weddings and a Funeral, voicing the red-billed hornbill Zazu in The Lion King, and playing jewelry salesman Rufus in Love Actually. Atkinson also featured in the BBC sitcom The Thin Blue Line. His work in theatre includes 2009 West Wind revival of the musical Oliver. After receiving top grades in science A level, so he was a science student, right, in class 12, he secured a place at the Newcastle University where he received a degree in electrical and electronic engineering. So he is basically an engineer. In 1975, he continued for the degree of MSc in electrical engineering at the Queen's College, Oxford, the same college where his father matriculated in 1935. That means his father had also studied and done his matrix, that is class 10, in 1935, and which made Atkinson an honorary fellow in 2006. His MSc thesis, published in 1978, considered the application of self-tuning control. So his project and the thesis was on self-tuning control, which is a very, very important and a difficult project which people do not take up, but he did that. So he was actually a very articulate and he is an intelligent person. But here, this I just wanted to tell you because we often see his comic videos and we enjoy and we are like, in piles of laughter. But we don't know actually about him. So that is why I wanted to share, because in our school also, in smart boards and all, whenever we are a free period or whenever we are not working, children often want to see Mr. Bean's series. So, we watch him so often, we should know a little more about him. So what I wanted to share is this. And this video is there in the YouTube also, and wherever you Google it, you will find this whole video. Just get to see and learn. Just listen how he speaks. A gem of a person he is. He is such an eloquent and an articulate speaker. He speaks so very well. And for your information, when he was born and he started to speak, he had a problem in his speech. He used to stutter. Stutter means, a little bit of stammering and hesitation was there. He used to, he was not able to say all the words properly. But he is right now such a great speaker, and this speech is of years back. I think this is of 2012. But it has again become viral now because of some political issues raising up. And let us see what he is speaking about. In a noteworthy address, Rowan Atkinson, aka Mr. Bean, shares his eminent thoughts on the value and importance of free speech. This speech, although it was given several years ago, is today as important as ever. It should be heard by every single politician, journalist, campaigner before they start calling for laws to silence those they regard as extremists. This was years back when, even on making fun of a person, there were campaigns and there were people, politicians, who were putting people behind bars. That it is then Rowan Atkinson came up and he, specified and spoke for the importance of free speech. One should be able to take offense. If anyone is offending you, take it positively, try to improve it, or try to take it as a challenge, bring a change in yourself. Why put them behind bars? It was then Rowan Atkinson, he raised his voice, he gave this speech, and do watch this speech of Reform Section 5. It's written at the back, all right? Let's go further and see what was there more in the speech. Rowan Atkinson, the British comedian, best known for his internationally acclaimed role as Mr. Bean, defends free speech in all its forms, including and especially those that are insulting. He says, my starting point when it comes to the consideration of any issue relating to free speech is my very passionate belief that the second most precious thing in life is the right to express yourself freely. The most precious thing in life, I think, is food in your mouth. And the third most precious is the roof over your head. But a fixture for me, that is for Rowan, in number 2 slot for me is free expression, just below the need to sustain life itself. So what he says, that number 1 thing is your life and number 2 thing is free expression. You should be free to speak whatever you feel like. That is because I have enjoyed free expression in this country all my professional life and expect to continue to do so. Personally, I suspect highly unlikely to be arrested, whatever laws exist to contain free expression, because of undoubtedly privileged position that is afforded to those of high public profile. So my concerns are less for myself and more for those more vulnerable because of their lower profile, like the man arrested in Oxford for calling a police horse gay, or the teenager arrested for calling the Church of Scientology a cult, or the cafe owner arrested for displaying passages from the Bible on a TV screen. When I heard of some of these more ludicrous offences and charges, I remembered that I had been here before in a fictional context. I once did a show called Not the 9 o'clock News. So years ago, and we did a sketch where Griffey Rhines Jones played Constable Savage, a manifestly racist police officer to whom I, as his station commander, is giving a dressing down for arresting a black man on a whole string of ridiculous, trumped up and ludicrous charges. The charges for which Constable Savage arrested Mr. Winston Koguru of 55 Mercer Road were these: walking on cracks in the pavement, walking in a loud shirt in a built-up area during the hours of darkness, and one of my favorites, walking around all over the place. So here basically, Rowan wants to say, why are people being stopped from going anywhere wherever they want to? Why are they not allowed to express whatever they feel like? Why can't they call someone with the other name? And that is why Mr. Bean, Rowan says that as Mr. Bean or in other comedy shows of his, that is one of them he is naming also, not the 9 o'clock news, there in the film, in the show, there were so many funny things where, all this was going on. But in real life it is happens, then why are these people arrested? Because they are of low profile? High profile people are left? Why is there not freedom of expression, freedom of free speech? It is for this, he raised his voice. He was also arrested. He says, in that, this is the continuation of the previous one. He says that he was also arrested for urinating in public convenience and looking at me in a funny way. So, this character was arrested for these small things. Who would have thought that we would end up with a law that would allow life to imitate art so exactly? I read somewhere a defender of the status quo claiming that the fact that the gay horse case was dropped after the arrested man refused to pay the fine, and that the science-to-logy case was also dropped at some time during the court process was proof that law was working well, ignoring the fact that the only reason those cases were dropped was because of the publicity that they had attracted. The police sensed that ridicule was just around the corner and withdrew their actions. So, although these people were arrested, but later on when the police realized this was only a ridicule, that is to make fun, it was then they dropped the case. They withdrew their actions and these people were left. They were released. But what about the thousands of other cases? So Rowan Atkinson continues to say, but what about thousands of other cases that did not enjoy the oxygen of publicity? These cases were dropped and people were released from the jail because it became public. People came to know about all this. But what about the other cases? The cases of people who are of low profile, who do not have any publicity. They have not done any publicity. What about those cases that weren't quite ludicrous enough to attract media attention? Even for those actions that were withdrawn, people were arrested, questioned, taken to court, and then released. That isn't a law working properly. That is censoriousness of the most intimidating kind, guaranteed to have, as Lord Dear says, a chilling effect on free expression and free protest. And then, after this, there is a good long speech. Please do watch it. I want you to watch that also and see what knowledge this person had. We have been laughing at his acting. He is such a talented man, Let us continue. We need to build our immunity. He tells at the end that we need to build our immunity to taking offense. We should be thick-skinned. We should be ready to listen if someone is offending us or insulting us, so that we can deal with the issues that perfectly justified criticism can raise. So, it is always said that you should always have a critic with you if you want to improve in life. Why not take offense positively? Our priority should be to deal with the message, not the messenger. Firstly, that we all have to take responsibility for what we say, which is not a bad lesson to learn. And secondly, we have learned how appalling, prickly, and intolerant society has become of even the mildest adverse comment. Why do we become so intolerant? The law should be abiding and abetting this new intolerance. Free speech can only suffer if the law prevents us from dealing with its consequences. I offer you my wholehearted support to the Reform Section 5 campaign. Thank you very much. So well, this man has spoken, and people did not know Rowan Atkinson could speak so very well. In fact, in all his shows, he has hardly spoken words. He is a quiet person, and his acting and his expression does all the work for him. But here, so well he has spoken. I have really become a fan of this man, and I want you all to definitely watch this video, at least of his. Just look at him, so handsome he is, isn't it? Some comments that his speech got, I have just a few. If you go and read it, there are thousands of, the comments that people gave. Some few which I liked and picked were these. Imagine getting to the point in our society where Mr. Bean is more articulate and speaks more persuasively and with great substance than the vast majority of politicians. This was one comment. The other one, Rowan Atkinson, I have watched your movies for years and had no idea for what you stood for till now. I am now a huge fan of yours and respect you even more. God bless you, sir. Another comment was, how refreshing to see an intelligent and eloquent man behind the mask of Mr. Bean. Next was, the man who made a career while never uttering a complete word has more of an understanding about free speech than the men and women who use it against us to obtain public offense. Next was one of the best speeches I have heard in my 32 years of life, one of the most important of this generation. And one more is, why haven't we heard from Rowan Atkinson for the last couple of years? We need to hear his articulate case of freedom of speech more than ever now. I mean, it really sent goosebumps when I heard him speak, and the comments that followed. I really want you to go and watch this full video about this funny man who has this perfection in the art that he displays. So comic he is. Just look at the faces he makes. He is exceptionally talented person. This was said, before the speech, you will find this was also written, the forerunner of Defend Free Speech. This speech is known as Defend Free Speech campaign, was called Reform Section 5. This speech by Rowan Atkinson at the launch event in Parliament in 2012 should be heard by every politician, journalist, and campaigner before they start calling for laws to silence those they regard as extremists. If anyone is using some insulting word, looking at you in some offensive way, there must be something wrong. Take it positively, right? And we should be ready for free speech and free expression. This is what Mr. Bean, Rowan Atkinson, wanted to specify. The man, this also people say, I have highlighted, that the man who made a career while never uttering a complete word, actually, if you go on and see his videos, his shows, his movies, he has not uttered a few words, complete words, but has more understanding about free speech than the men and women who want to obtain public office. I hope you all liked it, and do watch my video also again. Share it with all your friends, family friends, relatives, because this is not educational. This is something different which we all should know. And we have known this man for so long. We have been watching him for last so many years, but knowing that he could speak so well, have so much of knowledge, and the way he speaks, in spite of have the stuttering problem when he was very small, we really need to applaud and clap hands for him. We'll meet next Wednesday with another personality. Till then, take care of yourself. Bye bye.